everyone, today I'm going to be showing you how I made these adorable pet ornaments. These are commemorative of some of the pets that have passed away. It has the year up here as to when. You can do it for pets that you currently have now as well. These ones were just custom ordered for those who have passed away. But it's made with this beautiful black walnut veneer 3D raised paw print with the pet's name and the year. It has a little string to hang it by, and it was super easy to make with very few materials. You can also, I did cut this out with my Cricut with vinyl, but you can definitely hand paint it on or write it on if you'd like. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and thank you so much for watching. Okay, so we're gonna start on Cricut's design space. So I'm gonna open up new project. Just wanna make sure this is saved. All right, so we're gonna go in with a new project and we are going to find an image. I'm going to do paw print. Okay, so we're just gonna kind of decide what we want to use. I'm basing it off an image that somebody wanted, which was kind of this one. I do like that one, but I also like this one. So I'm just gonna put both of them in and then kind of see which one I like better. I think I like that one better. Okay, so we're gonna go with this one. Now that we have chosen the one that we want, I'm gonna be grabbing our wooden discs that we're gonna be using just to see what the size is. So we'll set the iPad aside and kind of see. The width of this one would be 5. Yeah, a little just over 5. So we're gonna want to make sure that the width fits. So if we do roughly 3, that'll give us enough of a nice border to write the name and the year. So what I like to do is then take the iPad back and go to Actions, Edit, make the width 3, and then that makes the height 3. So it's going to be exactly equal in the middle. Now that we have the size, I'm going to be making 3 of these today. I'm going to go into layers, and while that's selected, I'm going to duplicate it and make a 3rd one. And then, so I usually like to rotate these to make them kind of waste as little amount of material as possible, because there's really no sense in leaving all that space if you can fill it out. Like, understandably, it will always kind of, there will always be excess, but you can try and minimize that. So once you have that laid out the way you want it, we're gonna hit continue. Gotta make sure to turn on my Cricut. Once that shows up, it shows that. All right, so we're gonna go into all materials. I'm using the natural wood veneer. So now, and it tells you exactly what you need. So this is gonna be the deep point blade. And then we're going to load it. All right, so next up we are going to set up our mats. So these are the wood discs that we will be using. And then for the paw print, we're going to be using the natural wood veneer. I'm choosing the one in walnut because I love black walnut. Is such a stunning just wood to work with. So we're going to gently take those out, as veneer is fairly thin. As you can see, very thin. It's very flexible. So you want to be careful, because if you bend it too much, it will crack. So kind of want to choose which grain you want to show the most. Set one aside. Now, it does say to use the Cricut, the strong grip mat, which would be your purple one. I find that because it's veneer and not chipboard or MDF, it may break when trying to remove it, especially with a very new one. If you have a used strong grip mat that has lost a bit of its tack, this would be perfect. But if you're using a brand new mat, I would just go for the regular grip because you really don't want to damage it. And since you're going to be taping down the sides as well, it won't be moving. So I'm going to take my standard grip mat. I am using the extra long one just because, well, I just prefer to use it. My other one, my smaller size one, are older and have been used quite a bit, so the tack, so satisfying. The tack is worn off a little bit. So let's try and adjust you guys here. So now that we have our mat and we have the veneer, I'm just gonna see which way. This one will be nice, okay? So you want to lay that down. Make sure it's not pushing over any of the outer edge lines, or else the tracks are going to kind of destroy it. So you want to make sure you press down firmly, smooth it all out, and then you're going to be taking plain tape and you're just going to place some tape all along the edge. So since we will be having our cut materials all in this upper corner, not all the way through, the bottom doesn't matter as much to tape it, but you definitely want to tape down really well around the top. So make sure you cover all the corners. This side here, I just left it open. I'm still going to put a piece of tape here, but I'm leaving the corner open because it won't really be getting that much action on that side. Opening up clamp B, taking out my fine point and taking my deep point. Put that in there. Close that up. Now I'm just going to move some of these star wheels over just so they're not putting too many marks into the veneer. Because again, even though it is a hard wood, because it's very thin, it's going to be softer. You're going to want to load it up. Press the flashing button. All right, and now while that is being cut out, we are going to paint these. I'm making these a cream colored one that is speckled. So you want to make sure you have all your materials, got your paintbrushes, paint, and got a small cup of water here. So I'm taking Titan Buff here. It's just an acrylic paint. And putting it a generous dollop because you can spread it onto the other ones. Set that aside for now. And then, because these were laser cut, I'm going to paint up the dark edges as well. All right, once you have all that done, you're going to once you have the edges done, you are going to smooth out the paint on top. And you want to go back and forth lightly to try and get rid of all the brush strokes. And make sure you have an even coat all along. And there you go, that is one done, and you are going to paint both sides of them and let that dry. All right, and now after that is done, we're gonna be doing a speckled effect. So here I'm taking some burnt umber, which is a nice warm brown. And now taking some of that, I'm just taking it on a very firm bristle brush. You don't need much. For the speckled effect, you're going to really want to mix it with some water. if you have a thick paint. If it's a thinner paint, then you probably don't need to add as much water. But I prefer heavy body paints, so doing that. And taking the other brush and holding this on top, and just tap it. And you can decide how speckled you want it to be. You can use different tones as well, even if you aren't going to be putting a veneer overlay on it. You can definitely go with, let's say, green and red for Christmas and put a name across it, and that will be super, super beautiful. All right, so I think I'm happy with that. Make sure you clean your brushes right away because acrylic dries like almost instantaneously, so you don't want to ruin any brushes. Show you what they look like a little more closer up. So that kind of gives them that really rustic look to it, which I am obsessed with. All right, so take that out of there and see how it went. Nice. You can already see one is coming out, which is good. That's so perfect. So now the way I like to take this out is you take your flat little knife, and I'm gonna set it up as it was cut out, just so I don't lose the pattern there. The way I like to do it is bend a little bit of the edge and then put this on under. You want to be very careful not to bend it too much so you don't break the veneer. It's so far fairly sturdy. All right, so now some of them do have tape on the edge of them, which is okay. I'm just gonna lightly take your scraping tool and lift up the corner and slowly take it off, because you don't want to take off any little splinters of wood and kind of wreck the top of that. They're turning out so cute already. So I want them to be thicker just so they kind of stand out on the actual flat ornament itself. So I'm gonna be gluing these two together. So I'm gonna cut out a second set of all these paw prints so that way we can combine them together and make a thicker raised paw print. All right, so now that we've got all our pieces cut out, I'm gonna be taking my hot glue gun with my industrial strength glue to glue these together. You can use a wood glue, which is what I would normally use, but because it's veneer, if you get it too wet for too long, it will start to warp from the moisture. So I think the best option right now is just to go with some really strong hot glue. If you have the time to use it and you want to like press it down with something very heavy, then you can, but I wouldn't really recommend doing it unless you really want to just leave it and have it stay over a few days clamped together, just so it can retain its shape. All right, so you're just going to want to put an even layer of glue on. On there, then grab something that is firm and flat so you can just flatten it out and make sure that they are completely even. If any glue spills over the edge when you're pressing them down, that is okay. We can trim that off later, or you can even just kind of push it off with your nail right now. But if you don't have any long nails, then you can definitely just take an X-Acto knife after. But just make sure you kind of press down as much as possible, so when you do cut it off, there isn't kind of an opening, making it uneven. Also, of course, be careful with hot glue. I should, I guess, forward that, but my glue gun gets extremely hot. So when you're working with smaller pieces like this, you really want to be careful. So make sure, if you don't feel comfortable with a hot glue gun, have somebody else help you. Unless you're making the gift for them, then obviously, of course, don't, but find someone else. Alright, now that that's done, we're going to take this and just kind of going to line it up, see where you want them. So you just want to make sure there's enough room for a hole at the top and the name and the year at the bottom. So I'm going to move this up a bit more. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and thank you so much for watching.